The story begins at the funeral of Miu's parents, where the 5-year-old girl is left alone. At the gathering, people sitting nearby quietly talk about who will take care of her. As the discussion gets louder, no one steps forward to take responsibility. Hearing this, a woman nearby suddenly slams her hand on the table and declares that she will take care of the child. Her name is Ayako. People try to stop her, but she insists that she will raise her sister's daughter. She then turns to the little girl and gently asks if she would like to live with her, since Ayako is also alone. The child agrees, and from that day on, Miu begins living with her. A few years later, Ayako Katsuragi, now 34, calls out to Miu while preparing breakfast. Miu now calls her Mama. Miu comes to the table and asks why she wasn't woken up earlier. Ayako works from home while also taking care of the house. That morning, she teases Miu a little. Miu quickly tells her that things are not like she thinks. Takumi is just her tutor. Ayako playfully keeps teasing her, enjoying the moment. Just then, a young man arrives and greets Ayako. It is Takumi, a 20-year-old university student and Miu's tutor. Ayako smiles and calls him Takumi-kun. He sighs slightly and asks when she will stop calling him that, since he is no longer a child and is now 20. Ayako laughs and says it's hard to change because she still remembers him as a little boy. She even tells him he can call her Mama too, since she sees him like a son. But Takumi calmly replies that he is not her son. Ayako is surprised by his tone. Just then, Miu comes in and apologizes to Takumi for making him wait. After that, Miu tells Ayako that they are heading out. Ayako reminds her to be careful and not forget the promise she made last night. The two leave, and Ayako watches them go before closing the door. As she stands alone in the quiet house, she feels the silence become heavy. To distract herself, she starts doing housework. Then her eyes fall on Miu's room door, and a thought comes to her mind. One day, Miu might get married and leave this house. When that happens, Ayako will be alone again. She remembers the day she decided to take Miu in. Seeing the little girl all alone back then felt terrible. She never wants Miu to feel that kind of loneliness again. Later, Ayako joins an online meeting. Her boss, Umori, tells her it's time to wrap up. He praises her hard work and mentions how surprised he was when she said she was a mother at the start of the job. Ayako thanks him for supporting her while she raised Miu. Umori laughs and says it's his job to make sure his team works in a good environment. He also says that raising a child who lost both parents is not easy. Then he casually tells her she should also think about finding a man. Ayako becomes shy and says she does want to fall in love someday, but she feels it's not the right time yet. Umori looks concerned and says that at this rate she might reach her 40s without getting that chance. He gently asks if it's time for her to think about her own happiness too. After the call ends, Ayako sits quietly thinking about his words. If she gets married, a stepfather will come into the house. She worries that Miu might not feel comfortable with that. To Ayako, Miu is the most important person in her life. Later that night, Ayako, Miu, and Takumi sit together for dinner. They are celebrating Takumi's birthday, even though it is one day late. He thanks them warmly. While eating, Takumi compliments the food Ayako made. She feels happy inside. For a moment, Ayako imagines that if Takumi became the person Miu marries in the future, she would be very happy. She pictures their wedding and thinks he would be a good match since he is kind and responsible. In her imagination, Miu would even live next door after marriage. But suddenly, Miu gets annoyed and asks Takumi why he still comes over, even though exams are finished. He jokes that if she talks like that, he will give her extra homework. Ayako explains that she is the one who asked him to come, since Miu does not study properly without him. She then asks if they want orange juice or wine. She brings a bottle of wine, and Takumi asks if it is expensive. Ayako says it was a gift, so it doesn't matter. As they talk, Miu gets curious and tries to taste the wine. Ayako quickly stops her, reminding her that she is underage. During the playful struggle, the wine spills and soaks Takumi's clothes. Ayako quickly brings him fresh clothes and apologizes, but Takumi says it's not a big deal. She gives him a shirt she had kept for him and tells him to take a shower. Then she jokingly asks if he wants her to join him. Takumi immediately blushes and protests, asking what she is saying. Ayako laughs and says there's nothing to be embarrassed about, since they used to do things like that when he was little. Takumi, still flustered, reminds her that was 10 years ago. As he starts to take off his shirt so she can clean it, Ayako suddenly blushes. Startled by her own reaction, she quickly shuts the door and sits down, covering her face. She wonders why she is blushing so much and calls herself foolish. It's just a boy's upper body, nothing special. But her thoughts keep going back to Takumi. He is no longer a child. He has grown up. A little later, Miu and Takumi sit together playing cards. After a while, Miu starts to feel sleepy. She says she will brush her teeth and go to bed. Ayako asks Takumi if he isn't going home. He replies that his house is nearby, so he can stay a little longer. Hearing this, Ayako quietly sits down with him. While talking, Takumi accidentally mentions that he can handle alcohol well. This makes Ayako suspicious that he may have been drinking even before turning 20. Takumi hesitates, but Ayako smiles and tells him she will keep it a secret, so he doesn't need to worry. As she gently plays with her wine glass, she says that Takumi has grown up so much that now he is sitting and drinking with her. She adds that time passes very quickly. She also jokes that she has become almost like a housemaid. Takumi quickly disagrees and says she is not a maid at all, but Ayako tells him not to say nice things just to make her feel better. Then Takumi stands up and says he can't lie. He blushes deeply and admits that Miu has grown into a very attractive girl. Ayako is surprised, but then laughs and says only he could say something like that so honestly. After that, Ayako suddenly asks if he has a girlfriend. Takumi is caught off guard but answers that he doesn't, and it's nothing unusual. Ayako says she thought he would be popular. Takumi explains that when he was in the swim club, he did receive a few confessions. Hearing this, Ayako smiles and says she knew it. She asks if he dated any of them. He calmly replies that none of them were his type and takes a sip of wine. Then Ayako asks if there is someone he actually likes. Takumi freezes for a moment. He shakes his head, but his reaction gives him away. Ayako immediately notices. She leans closer and asks how long he has liked this person. Takumi blushes even more. Watching him, Ayako assumes he must be talking about Miu. Takumi hides his face and admits that he has liked this person for a long time. He says there is a big age gap between them, and he is afraid to confess because it might change their relationship. Ayako thinks he is someone who loves sincerely, but when she hears about the age gap, she assumes he is talking about Miu, since they are 5 years apart. She moves closer and confidently tells him not to worry too much. If he waits too long, someone else might confess first. She encourages him, saying he is a good person and should go ahead and confess. Takumi is stunned by her words. Then he places his hand on his chest and finally says that the person he has always liked is Ayako. Ayako goes silent, completely confused. Blushing deeply, Takumi tells her he has liked her for the past 10 years. Ayako is shocked. She cannot understand what is happening because she always believed he liked Miu, not her. The next morning, Ayako wakes up late and panics because she didn't make breakfast. But Miu tells her that she already ate cereal and won't eat outside. Then Miu asks if Ayako stayed up late drinking with Takumi. Ayako says she doesn't clearly remember because she drank too much. Her face turns red as she recalls what happened. Miu notices and asks why she is blushing, but Ayako insists she is fine. Just then, the door opens and Takumi arrives, greeting them. The moment Ayako sees him, she blushes again and nervously greets him back. She says she is going to change because her outfit feels embarrassing. Miu points out that Takumi has seen her in pajamas many times before. Ayako realizes that is true, but now things feel different. She is suddenly very self-conscious around him. A moment later, Takumi asks Miu if she can step outside for a bit. She agrees. Now alone with Ayako, he asks why she woke up so late. Ayako says she couldn't sleep well. Takumi blushes and admits he couldn't sleep either. There is a short silence. Just as he is about to speak, Ayako quickly interrupts him. With a red face, she says they should both forget everything that happened last night. Takumi is shocked. Ayako explains that they both drank a lot, so he might have said things he didn't mean. She adds that she is an adult and won't take drunk words seriously. She insists that they should pretend nothing happened. But Takumi suddenly raises his voice and stops her. He says that even though they were drunk, everything he said was true. He firmly tells her that he has genuinely liked her for many years. Ayako becomes nervous and starts sweating. Takumi admits that he tried many times to give up on his feelings, but he couldn't. He then says he doesn't need an answer right now and leaves the house. After he leaves, Ayako slowly sinks to the floor, covering her face as her thoughts race. She wonders if everything he said was really true. Later, Takumi meets his friend Satoya during dinner and tells her everything. She is surprised, but also happy that he finally confessed. Takumi says he couldn't sleep at all last night. Satoya asks him directly if he really likes Ayako. She teases him, saying this kind of situation usually only happens in fantasies, liking someone's attractive mother. Then she asks what he truly feels right now. Takumi blushes and tells her to stop saying strange things. Satoya laughs and pats his head playfully. Takumi stops her and says he feels like his confession may have caused trouble for Ayako. Satoya says it's fine if his feelings are real, but if not, it would be like throwing a bomb into their relationship. Takumi admits that things might never be the same again. Satoya listens quietly as he speaks. Takumi admits that he has reached his limit. He is tired of his one-sided love and of being treated like a child by the person he likes. Meanwhile, later that night, Miu comes home and asks Ayako about dinner. As she enters, she finds Ayako lying on the floor with things scattered around. Ayako looks completely out of it. Miu asks why dinner isn't ready, even though it's already late. Ayako weakly suggests they could just order food. Miu hesitates and asks if she is okay. Then she questions why Ayako has been acting so strange since morning. Ayako avoids giving a clear answer, so Miu wonders if it has something to do with Takumi. At that moment, a basket of clothes falls. Ayako panics and brushes it off, acting like it's nothing. Then Miu suddenly asks, very directly, if Takumi confessed to her. Ayako's face turns bright red. She sits down and covers her face without saying anything. Miu calmly says she already knew this would happen. Ayako is shocked and wonders if Miu had already figured everything out. Miu explains that she has known for a long time that Takumi likes Ayako. Hearing this, Ayako panics even more and holds her head in confusion. Miu sighs and says she doesn't know whether to call her slow or just unaware. Blushing deeply, Ayako says it can't be true. There is more than a 10-year age gap between her and Takumi, and to him, she is just a neighbor aunt. Miu takes a deep breath and explains that she sees Ayako as her mother, but Takumi doesn't. He truly loves her, and when it comes to love, age doesn't matter. Hearing this, Ayako remembers that she said the same thing to Takumi before, and she feels embarrassed. She then admits that she always thought Takumi liked Miu. Miu realizes that this whole situation came from Ayako's misunderstanding. Ayako asks why Takumi comes over every day. Miu points out that he actually comes to see Ayako, not her. As they talk, Ayako slowly begins to understand. All the things she thought were for Miu were actually for her. Takumi's actions and words were always meant for Ayako. Ayako panics again, wondering if he really likes her. Miu reassures her that he does. Ayako hides her face in embarrassment. Miu then asks what she plans to do next. Will she date him? Still blushing, Ayako asks if it's really okay to suddenly start a relationship like that. Miu tells her she doesn't mind at all. She says she is already 15 and doesn't want to become a problem in her mother's life. She even says she would be fine if Ayako and Takumi got married. Ayako blushes and lightly scolds her for saying such things. Then Miu looks at her seriously and admits she feels a little guilty. She says that because of her, Ayako spent her 20s raising a child she barely knew at first. She says a beautiful woman gave up her best years. Before she can continue, Ayako calls her name. She kneels down and with tears in her eyes, tells Miu that she is not a stranger. Miu gave her so much in life. Ayako then stands up and hugs her tightly. She remembers the day Miu first called her mama. Miu, a bit embarrassed, tells her she always gets like this after drinking. But then she softly says that Ayako has always held herself back because of her. She adds that she has always seen Ayako as her real mother. Miu says that just like her real mother would want her to be happy, she also wants Ayako to be happy. Hearing this, Ayako becomes quiet and emotional. Miu smiles and says she is happy that Ayako always thinks about her. Now she should also think about herself. Then she playfully puts a lollipop in Ayako's mouth. Miu says she's going to change clothes, and after that, they should go eat because she's hungry. Ayako stands there blushing, thinking about how much Miu has grown. She decides they will go eat Italian food, whatever Miu wants. The next day, Ayako is taking a shower, lost in thought. Her mind keeps going back to Takumi. She wonders if she can avoid these feelings, and whether Takumi still sees her as just a neighbor. Then the doorbell rings. Takumi is outside. She realizes he came early for Miu's lesson. She calls out to Miu, but there is no answer. Ayako hesitates. She feels like she shouldn't open the door like this, but she remembers she has done it before, so she decides to act normal and opens the door. When Takumi sees her, he immediately blushes and covers his face. He asks what she is wearing. Ayako looks down and realizes her state. Her face turns red, and she quickly tries to explain that she was just cleaning and got sweaty. Takumi tells her she should change, saying any man could misunderstand the situation. Ayako argues that no man would think like that about someone her age. Takumi raises his voice and says, "That's not true." He tells her she is very beautiful, and that even he feels flustered just seeing her like that. Ayako is shocked and wonders why he is saying such things. Takumi explains that when a man likes a woman, seeing her like that will naturally affect him. Embarrassed, Ayako says she only came out like that because she knew it was him at the door. Just then, Miu walks in and sees them. She teases them, saying it looks like they are getting along very well and moving quite fast. Ayako quickly denies it, saying nothing like that is happening. Miu casually says she is going to her room and that Takumi can even cancel today's lesson if he wants. Ayako calls out to Miu, and at the same time, Takumi asks if she hasn't told Miu about them yet. Ayako replies that Miu already knows everything. She even wonders how Miu figured it out so easily, which makes Takumi smile. He says it was pretty obvious. Ayako feels a bit embarrassed, thinking she was the only one who didn't realize it. As Takumi starts to leave, Ayako quickly calls out to him. She says she wants to talk for a bit and lightly grabs his shirt. Takumi turns around and asks if she plans to talk to him while dressed like that. Ayako panics and says she will go change first. She then asks him to sit in the living room while she goes to the kitchen to make tea. As she prepares the tea, Takumi watches her quietly. Ayako becomes aware of his gaze and starts blushing. Soon they sit together at the table. Ayako gathers her courage and asks if he really likes her. Takumi answers seriously that he does. Both of them blush. Ayako notices that Takumi covers his mouth when he feels shy. Then she asks what he really thinks about being in a relationship with her. Takumi is surprised by how direct the question is. After a moment, he admits that he has been seriously thinking about a future with her, and that he wants to marry her. Hearing this, Ayako's face turns bright red. She quickly says it's not that simple. There is a big age gap between them, and she is also raising Miu as a single mother. But Takumi confidently says he has already thought about everything. He says he is ready to accept Miu and raise her like his own daughter. He explains that this is why he waited. He wanted to think carefully and get a stable job before confessing. Ayako is surprised. To her, the confession felt sudden, but Takumi has been thinking about it for a long time. Then she asks how long he has liked her. Takumi hesitates for a moment, then admits it has been 10 years. Ayako is shocked and blushes deeply. She asks how he could like her back then, when he was only 10 years old. Takumi admits it sounds strange, but says he thought she was very beautiful even then, and he fell for her at first sight. Ayako feels both embarrassed and touched. Then Takumi adds that after that day there was no turning back, especially after they bathed together once. Hearing this, Ayako suddenly goes silent. She starts sweating and covers her mouth, remembering that incident. She asks if he has really been thinking about her since that time. Takumi, too embarrassed, covers his mouth and cannot answer. Ayako recalls that day clearly. She had been completely unguarded and didn't think much of it at the time. Now she feels extremely embarrassed and tells him it was a very awkward situation. Takumi quickly says it wasn't really his fault, since she was the one who let him join. Ayako explains that back then she saw him only as a child and didn't think about it seriously. Takumi, still embarrassed, asks her not to talk about it. Ayako bends down and apologizes, feeling like it was her mistake. Takumi reassures her that he saw everything with the mind of a child at that time. Ayako, still flustered, apologizes again. Then, after a pause, she lowers her head and says she cannot go out with him. Takumi becomes quiet. Ayako explains that she is truly happy about his feelings, but she says that, realistically, dating him is not possible. Takumi asks what she means. Ayako struggles to explain and simply says it's common sense. Takumi says he doesn't understand that answer. If she doesn't like him, she should just say it directly. Ayako stays silent. Takumi reminds her that she once said age doesn't matter in love. Ayako replies that in reality things are different. Finally, she admits the real reason. She says that their relationship could cause problems in society and at work. Most importantly, Takumi's parents would likely never accept it. After saying this, she falls quiet, feeling embarrassed. She explains that when Miu was young, she didn't know how to raise a child. During that time, Takumi's parents helped her a lot. Takumi comes from a good family, and she doesn't want to cause trouble for them or betray their kindness. Takumi listens quietly. Then he admits that she is right, but says his parents' opinion is not absolute. He agrees that marriage involves more than just two people. Ayako feels a bit relieved hearing that he understands her concerns. Tears begin to form in her eyes, but she quickly wipes them away. Then Takumi speaks again. He says he now understands exactly what she was worried about. Ayako looks confused. Takumi then tells her that she doesn't need to worry about his parents because he has already talked to them. The story then goes back 10 years into the past. Takumi is sitting outside his house in the rain. Ayako walks up to him and asks what he is doing there. He explains that his parents went out and left him a key, but he accidentally forgot it inside the house. Ayako tells him to come with her to her house. He is surprised, but she insists that if he stays outside, he will get sick. She brings him home and says she will prepare a warm bath for him. She tells him to take off his wet clothes. When she tries to help him, Takumi shyly says he can manage by himself. Ayako still grabs his pants and pulls them off, saying wet clothes are hard to remove. She tells him she will wash them and asks him to go sit in the bath. Takumi thinks to himself that Ayako still sees him as a little kid. Suddenly, he panics. Ayako steps in front of him, completely undressed, ready to join him in the bath. His face turns bright red. He stammers and asks what she's doing. Ayako calmly says she also got wet in the rain and just wants to warm up. She asks if he doesn't want to bathe together. Takumi quickly says that's not the issue. Ayako nods casually and starts pouring water over herself. Takumi becomes even more nervous. Blushing, he turns his face away. After a moment, he tries to leave, saying he's done. But Ayako grabs him. He slips and falls backward, right onto her. Takumi freezes. Ayako steadies him and tells him he still has a soap on him, so he can't leave yet. She asks him to sit down and begins gently washing him. After that, they sit together in the bath. Ayako asks if it feels nice. Takumi stays quiet, aware of how close they are. Seeing him so silent, Ayako feels confused. She hugs him lightly and says he is small and cute, fitting perfectly in her arms. Takumi looks away, embarrassed. Being called cute doesn't make him happy. At school, people already treat him like he's weak. Ayako quickly apologizes and says she didn't mean it that way. She gently tells him that growth takes time, and boys often grow later than girls. She assures him that one day he will grow stronger. Hearing this, Takumi starts to feel a little better. Ayako then encourages him to eat properly and exercise. She suggests sports like basketball and swimming, saying they help build strength and confidence. Takumi listens carefully and begins to feel more motivated. Ayako adds that she wants Miu to grow up strong too. Takumi promises that he will also try his best. They continue talking about different activities he could try. After a while, Takumi turns to Ayako and says he respects her a lot. She looks surprised and asks why. Takumi explains that during Miu's parents' funeral, he kept watching her. He says he felt happy when she chose to take responsibility for Miu. To him, Ayako became someone who saved Miu from loneliness. Blushing, he says she is different from other adults and very admirable, almost like a hero. Ayako smiles softly and says she wishes she really were a hero. Then her expression changes. Tears start forming in her eyes. When Takumi notices, he becomes worried and calls her name. He asks if he said something wrong. She shakes her head. She explains that she had a difficult day at work. Wiping her tears, she says she wishes she could handle everything perfectly. Managing work and raising Miu alone is becoming very hard. She covers her face and admits that today she felt like she wasn't good enough to be a mother. She even says she doesn't deserve to be Miu's mom. Takumi becomes very worried. He gently takes her hand and tells her she is not alone. He promises that he will always stay by her side. He hugs her and tells her not to cry. His words deeply touch Ayako. Through her tears, she lets out a small laugh and thanks him. She says that because of him, she feels stronger again. Takumi feels very happy hearing that. Back in the present, Takumi reflects on that memory. From that day on, he began to see Ayako as someone who needed support. He decided that he would always stay by her side. He shares this story with his friend Satoya, who teases him a little. Meanwhile, Ayako is walking home when someone calls out to her. It is Takumi's mother. She thanks Ayako for celebrating Takumi's birthday. Ayako feels a little embarrassed. Takumi's mother then asks about Miu, but Ayako nervously changes the topic and says she wants to talk about Takumi instead. Hearing this, his mother looks surprised and asks if Takumi finally confessed. Ayako is shocked that she already knows. Takumi's mother explains that after his birthday, he started acting strangely, which made her curious. Ayako awkwardly repeats what she told Takumi earlier, saying that it doesn't make sense and that it's not that she dislikes him. Then, suddenly, Takumi's mother changes the topic and casually comments that the sky looks very blue. Ayako is confused. Then she brings up a memory. She reminds Ayako of the day Takumi got locked out of his house, and Ayako took him in. That day, when he returned home, Takumi told his mother that he wanted to marry Ayako when he grew up. Hearing this, Ayako becomes emotional again. Takumi's mother explains that, at the time, they thought it was just a child's words. But over the years, things clearly changed. After that day, Takumi stopped being picky with food, became serious about his studies, and even started swimming. During all this time, Takumi didn't spend much time with girls his age. His only goal was to become a man worthy of Ayako. His feelings for her were always sincere. After hearing everything, Takumi's mother thinks carefully. She believes the most important thing is Ayako's own feelings. She says that if Ayako is not interested, she will tell her son to stop. But if Ayako has even a little interest, she hopes Ayako will take care of him. With that, she respectfully speaks to Ayako, who stands there lost in her thoughts. After returning home, Miu teasingly asks if even Takumi's parents approved of their relationship. Ayako, slightly annoyed, says she still will not go out with Takumi. Miu is surprised. Ayako explains that marriage is a very serious matter. Miu says she understands, since her mother has never married. Still, Ayako stands firm. She says that dating a woman over 30 could be difficult for Takumi, and he might not fully understand it yet. In her heart, She decides to show him the reality. She plans to make him slowly lose interest in her. Her goal is to show him the difficulties of dating someone like her. When Takumi visits again, he sees Ayako drinking heavily. After drinking, she starts acting strangely. This is her first plan. She wants to show him that a woman in her 30s can be difficult to handle after drinking. Takumi is shocked and wonders if she really drank that much. Ayako admits she usually hides it, but claims she drinks a lot. Takumi doesn't believe her. He says he has never seen her drink like this before. Ayako keeps making excuses, but Takumi notices the flaws in her story. Then Miu suddenly says that Ayako can drink a lot. Takumi questions that, pointing out that Ayako only started drinking recently and doesn't drink much because of Miu. Ayako is surprised and asks how he knows that. Takumi explains that she once told his father, and he remembers it. He says he has been watching her for a long time. Hearing this, Ayako blushes. She stands up but feels dizzy. Takumi quickly supports her by holding her shoulders. Then, without warning, he lifts her into his arms. Ayako is shocked and tries to stop him, but Takumi calmly says she can't walk properly right now, so he will carry her to her room. Ayako blushes deeply and asks if she is heavy. Takumi smiles and says she is not. Now Ayako moves to her second plan. She wants to show that a woman in her 30s spends a lot and is hard to manage. She decides to look at expensive bags online, hoping it will scare him away. But when she sees the price of one bag, she is shocked. It is far too expensive for her. She panics and falls back, realizing she cannot afford such things, especially with Miu to take care of. Her second plan fails before it even begins. Finally, Ayako prepares her third plan. She calls Takumi into the living room. When he arrives, he looks confused. Ayako hesitates for a moment, but then calls out to him from behind. Takumi turns around and is shocked. Ayako is wearing a strange costume from an anime called Love Kaiser Solitaire. She strikes a dramatic pose and says he is finally seeing her true self. But suddenly, a button on her costume pops off. She freezes in embarrassment. Takumi quickly covers his eyes, peeking slightly. Ayako awkwardly starts explaining. She says that when she adopted Miu, they used to watch this anime together. Over time, she also became a fan. Even after Miu grew older and stopped watching it, Ayako continued watching it alone. She thought acting like this would make Takumi lose interest. But instead, Takumi gets excited. He starts talking about the anime in detail, saying how rare and interesting it still is even after so many years. Ayako is surprised. Soon they both start talking openly about the show and sharing what they like about it. They enjoy the conversation together. Then Ayako suddenly realizes this was not part of her plan at all. Frustrated, she asks how he knows so much about it. Takumi replies that he also watches the anime regularly. He even says he already knew Ayako liked it. Ayako is shocked and asks how. Takumi says Miu told him everything, including that Ayako secretly buys merchandise. Ayako goes silent, embarrassed that her secret was revealed. Takumi smiles and says he really likes anime too. He asks her to recommend more shows to him if she watches any. Takumi explains that he has watched every episode of the series. At first, he thought it was just for children, but slowly he became addicted to it and is now a big fan. Hearing this, Ayako is surprised. This is something she always tried to hide because she felt embarrassed about it. But Takumi isn't laughing at her. Instead, he genuinely likes the same thing. Realizing this, Ayako blushes deeply. Then Takumi notices an item in her hand from the anime. Ayako admits that it's a limited edition item she bought. Takumi is surprised that she spent so much money on it. Ayako explains that the design and details are very high quality, which makes it worth the price. She starts showing how it works, and even strikes a pose while holding it. Takumi is amazed and recognizes the pose from episode 36. Ayako happily confirms it. Takumi praises her knowledge and says the item is really special. Then Ayako plays music from the item, and they both start talking about it in detail. Takumi asks her about the characters and which one she likes the most. Ayako becomes excited and starts explaining everything about her favorite character. They both enjoy the conversation a lot. Ayako even starts copying the character's actions in front of him. Takumi watches her and says he can see how much she truly loves the series. He then says the anime is really good and that he wants to watch it again. He suggests they watch it together. Ayako happily agrees and says she has a full collection. She even says it would be more fun if they watched it together. Takumi asks if that's really okay, and she says yes without hesitation. At that moment, she gets so excited that part of her costume loosens again. She awkwardly thinks that the costume might be too tight. Then she asks Takumi if he will also watch the summer movie with her because she doesn't want to go alone. Takumi agrees. They make a small promise together. At that moment, Ayako realizes her plan has completely failed. Miu, watching everything, starts laughing. Ayako asks why this happened, expecting Takumi to make fun of her. But Miu explains that everyone has their own interests, and there is nothing strange about it. She reminds Ayako that she used to take Miu along because she didn't want to go alone. Ayako admits that was true. She didn't want others to know she enjoyed it herself. Then Miu asks why she doesn't just go with Takumi now. Ayako hesitates. Miu then points out that their relationship seems to be getting closer. Ayako quietly realizes that this is true, but she still insists that she has more ways to make Takumi lose interest. At that moment, Miu suddenly calls out to her. Ayako goes silent. Miu asks how long she plans to keep pushing him away. Ayako has no answer. Miu then calmly says that whatever Ayako decides is fine, but she also has her own thoughts about it. After saying that, Miu walks to her room. Ayako calls after her, but Miu doesn't stop. Ayako stands there quietly, lost in thought. Later, during a phone call, someone laughs loudly after hearing the story. He finds the situation almost unbelievable. A college student who is expected to like the daughter has fallen in love with the mother instead. It is Ayako's boss, Umori. Ayako explains everything to him. Umori says that what Takumi feels is real love, but Ayako feels guilty and asks him what she should do. Umori tells her that if she truly thinks the situation is wrong, she should create distance from Takumi. Ayako says it's not that simple. Umori replies that at the end of the day, it is just a relationship between a man and a woman. He points out that Ayako is only focusing on the age gap. Ayako again says that, according to common sense, it isn't possible. Hearing this, Umori laughs. Ayako is surprised. He asks her what common sense really means. He reminds her that 10 years ago she was only 20, had no experience, and didn't even have a stable life, yet she still made a huge decision to raise Miu. Now she is using common sense to stop herself. Ayako falls silent. Umori continues, saying that Ayako has changed a lot over the years. Ayako asks how. He explains that back then, she was able to make bold decisions because she had nothing to lose. That shows how much she has grown. Ayako quietly listens. She thinks back to the past. At that time, she had nothing. She took Miu in to protect her. But as time passed, while raising Miu, she slowly gave up her own freedom and her own feelings. During the call, Umori tells Ayako that now she has Miu, with whom she shares 10 years of memories. He adds that she also has a stable life and a good relationship with her neighbors. He gives an example from work and explains that Ayako now has many things she could lose. Because of that, she uses common sense as an excuse to protect herself. Then he jokingly welcomes her to a boring adult life and ends the call. Ayako slowly puts down her phone and holds her head, thinking quietly. None of her plans are working. She feels completely stuck. While she is lost in thought, Miu suddenly walks in and startles her. Ayako says she got scared. Miu explains that Ayako was on a call, so she came to check on her. Then she asks Ayako what decision she has made. Ayako looks confused for a moment. Miu clarifies that she is talking about Takumi's confession. Ayako becomes quiet and admits that she still hasn't decided anything. Miu sighs and says it's impossible for her to avoid this situation forever. She points out that Ayako understands everything but is still trying to run away from it. Ayako picks up a file nearby and tries to change the topic, saying it's not like that. Miu gets frustrated and says Ayako is just hiding behind common sense. She adds that Ayako has never shared her true feelings until now. Hearing this, Ayako becomes silent. Miu then asks her to answer honestly. What does she really feel about Takumi? Ayako thinks deeply. She realizes that instead of facing Takumi's feelings, she has always avoided them. She knows she can't run away anymore. Then Miu calls her again, asking for an answer. Taking a deep breath, Ayako finally speaks. She says she likes Takumi. She admits that she has liked him for a long time. She begins to describe his good qualities, his kindness, his personality. She says he is her type. Miu listens carefully and asks if there is any problem. Ayako explains the real issue. She says that she always thought Takumi would marry Miu one day. It was her own selfish wish as a parent. Because of that, she never saw him as a man. She always saw him as a child, almost like a son. Now, suddenly seeing him differently feels very difficult. She continues, saying that being in a relationship with someone she has known for 10 years is risky. People might judge them. It could even affect Miu's reputation. Ayako says that she has already chosen her life, to raise Miu properly. Because of that, she can't live freely anymore. After listening to everything, Miu asks one final question. Does Ayako really not want to be with Takumi? Ayako quietly says, yes. She says she won't be with him. Then, with a small teasing smile, Miu calls out toward the door. She asks if he heard everything. The door slowly opens. Takumi steps inside. Ayako is shocked. She thought he had already left. Takumi stands there, tense and silent. His face clearly shows sadness. Ayako turns to Miu and asks why she did this. Miu calmly says she made him stay on purpose. She wanted him to hear Ayako's true feelings. Ayako becomes nervous and doesn't know what to say. Meanwhile, Takumi looks apologetic. Miu adds that Takumi waited 10 years to confess, but Ayako's actions are also unfair. She says Ayako is trying to find a solution where no one gets hurt, but in doing so, she's hurting Takumi. Hearing this, Ayako feels deeply troubled. She slowly looks at Takumi. Takumi places his hand on his chest and apologizes. He says his confession was selfish. In the end, he feels like he only caused trouble for both Ayako and Miu. He thanks Ayako for taking his feelings seriously. Even though it hurts, he is also happy. He says he's glad he finally understood her true feelings. He admits this is not the answer he hoped for, but still, he feels some relief. Then, with a sad smile, he says that someone like him was never really a match for Ayako. He always knew that she never saw him as a romantic partner. Hearing Takumi's words, Ayako feels deeply troubled. From her side, she had always treated him like a son. Takumi continues speaking. He says that since childhood, Ayako has always cared for him with kindness and love, but in his heart, he saw her as a woman. He admits that he allowed himself to develop those feelings, even though he knew it might be wrong. His hands start shaking. Memories rush back and he begins to tremble. Tears fill his eyes. He says he feels like a terrible person. The atmosphere in the room becomes heavy. Ayako stands there, shocked, unable to react. Takumi, overwhelmed by guilt, apologizes again and again. He looks at Ayako and asks her to forget everything that happened in the last few days. He says he wants things to go back to how they were before. His body keeps shaking as he speaks. Then, crying, he turns and runs away, apologizing as he leaves. Ayako reaches out her hand to stop him, but she is too late. At that moment, Miu calls out to her. She asks Ayako what she plans to do now. Will she go after him? Ayako stands there, frozen, not knowing what to say. Miu continues. She says that if Ayako runs after him now, just to comfort him, it would only hurt him more. Hearing this, Ayako becomes even more confused. When she looks at the door again, Takumi is already gone. She is left standing there, alone. That night, Ayako lies in bed, thinking about everything. She remembers what Takumi said to her in the past. His words stay in her heart. Even now, they make her feel warm and happy. The next morning, Ayako wakes up late. She goes to the kitchen where Miu looks at her seriously. Miu tells her to get herself together. She reminds her that she is an adult. Ayako apologizes and suggests buying food from outside. But Miu says she already prepared her own lunch, cleaned the bath, and even did the laundry. She tells Ayako to check it later. Even during this busy morning, Ayako keeps thinking about Takumi. Miu notices her expression and says it's unusual to see her so serious. Then suddenly, Miu says something shocking. She says Takumi has a girlfriend. Ayako freezes. She cannot process what she just heard. Miu repeats it again. She says that Takumi started dating someone yesterday. Ayako still cannot believe it. She says it's impossible. There's no way he could move on so quickly. Miu calmly explains that after being rejected, he started paying attention to girls his own age. He is popular after all. Now he has even planned a date with his new girlfriend tonight. Ayako quietly listens, unable to say anything. Later, Ayako decides to see the truth for herself. She goes to a place where Takumi and his girlfriend would likely pass by. She tells herself she is only there for dessert, not for him. But deep down, she knows that's not true. After waiting for a while, she finally sees him. Takumi is walking with a girl. The girl looks cheerful and kind. Ayako is shocked. She watches them from a distance as they talk naturally. Takumi looks relaxed and comfortable. Ayako lowers her gaze. She quietly admits to herself that it's real. Takumi really has a girlfriend now. A mix of emotions rises inside her. Frustration, sadness, and confusion all at once. She hits the table lightly and mutters to herself, "So this is it. He prefers young, cute girls after all." She stands up, still upset. But just then, something in front of her catches her attention.